one's going to happen between these two.
But don't say it's too dumb or no.
I love her toothy smile.
I know, right? Why can you see her teeth?
Her jaw doesn't line up properly, so her fangs always poke out. In my personal endeavours. Let's see. Put it on card.
Why are you following me, man?
I know, Sylvie. There's a cat outside. Neighbour's cat likes to come and pee on my day beds. Hello and welcome to another Melbourne Diaries. So today I've just put on some highlighter, lipstick and mascara, and now I feel like I look weird. I think I need the blush. I couldn't be bothered doing foundation and bronzer and all that stuff, so I was like, let's just see if this works. I feel like there's something missing. My hair is still wet, which is why it looks like this. So I have decided to put all of my perfume reviews in one video because I think I've still got 35 or so perfume testers to go through. So I thought I'd just make a perfume dedicated vlog. That way everybody else who's not interested doesn't have to listen to me do it in these. Sorry, Blue, I just woke Blue up. You are so cute. You're so cute. I love it so much. Besides that, I have had a ton of pre-order decks come in this month. As I mentioned previously, I am doing a low buy year. I have not purchased a single deck this month, but that is because I have a redonkulous amount of pre-order decks to come, but from Kickstarter and from other companies. So 3 just came from Rockpool alone. And it's overwhelming when they all just come in at once and you're trying to use them meaningfully and really like do deep dives with them, but there's just one after another and you just feel like a rush. Like, okay, I've got a week max to like spend with you. Then I got to move on to the next one. But obviously I will talk about them all in my monthly wrap up. There'll be a lot of things that I'll talk about in my monthly wrap up that I haven't mentioned here. I'm trying not to do too much of an overlap, so that way it's fresh new information for you. My eldest daughter V is coming back from her camp today. So I'm very excited to hear about it. I have a feeling she'll be like, don't talk to me, I'm tired, leave me alone. So I may have to wait to get, the 911, the download, what's the goss girls. Books wise, I've hit a reading slump. I have just picked up book after book that I have not liked. So if anyone's got a recommendation, put them down below. If I haven't read it and my library has it, I will give it a go. I'm not promising that I'll love what you love, but I am always open to any recommendations. full moon in a Leo spread.
Oh, look at this. Let's take a picture of this.
Yeah, it's very fancy. To Prior, it was really lovely. On the inside, it's quite aesthetic. It's quite communal with the benches and the fireplace. It's like a warm and cozy little chalet. The food was lovely. However, my aunt ordered a salad and it just didn't have much dressing on it at all. So she asked for a wedge of lemon and they did charge her $1 for that wedge of lemon. And I just feel like that's a bit much. Like it was the sliver of a slice and to charge $1 for it. I'm like, come on guys, seriously? So I don't think we'll be returning to that cafe just on principle. Today I'm heading to the library to grab more books. I just read this one and I would recommend it. So this is the Door-to-Door bookstore. It is a translated fiction from German. I'm also heading off to Westfield because my kids need shit. They've always been needing stuff. Every time I think I'm done, no, mummy, we need this. So off we go. Highly recommend. How are you getting down? Can you get down? Do I need to get you? Blue. Mummy's gonna get you. I know, Sylvie. Sylvie goes up, so Blue tries to follow her. But Blue cannot get down. That's my kid's messy room. Mummy's coming. Good morning, guys. So 2 days ago I did a mushroom trip, my yearly spiritual trip to reset my brain. I will talk more about that in my monthly wrap up. But today I am heading out to a cafe with my cousin for a catch up, and then I am going to book clubs. This is the original book club that I go to, and we're discussing the book Spare. Spare yourself the read, it's not worth it unless you want to hear about Prince Harry's Willie. So I'll see you guys when I return.
That's insane. Like, they have zero, like, boundaries. Let's, like, do you think she'll like this? If he's choosing cards that he...
Okay, so I am back. I went to Streat Cafe. Beautiful outdoor eating area, absolutely stunning, like an oasis in the city. And the food was fantastic. All of the items on the menu were ones that I wanted to try. So I would definitely go back there, although parking was an absolute bitch. So it's one of those cases where you're just constantly doing loops and loops and loops trying to find a car spot. So we had to cut it short because it was only 1 hour parking that we managed to find. So then we headed off to Frank and Harry for, you know, like a tea and cake situation. Lovely space, pretty noisy. It's one of those spaces that reverberates all the sound back at you. But the cakes are lovely there. So that was also a lovely time. And then we had book club, and I think only 2 out of 20 liked Spare by Prince Harry. Most of us kind of wished that we hadn't read it, to be honest with you. So that was today. But I have to mention my cousin's story. So she's 22 years old and she went to go to the beach and she went alone and she was in the water, and a 40-something-year-old man came right up to her and she kept trying to walk off, and he just kept following her in the water and trying to, you know, create conversation. And so then she just went back to her towel and he followed her and then laid his stuff right down next to her. And he was married with children, supposedly, and just on his lunch break, but she could not get rid of him. And she was saying, what do I do in that situation? I didn't want to make him mad because I don't know, is he a violent person? And I didn't want to go back to my car because what if he followed me back to my car? So I told her, in that situation, from my own personal experience, you're at the beach during the day, look for families or groups of other women, pick up your things and go and sit next to them and just say, hey, this guy's harassing me. Can I just sit next to you? They will say, yes, you can. So I said, in those situations, try and find safety in numbers. Just move yourself to, like I said, a group of girls or a family and say, can I please, you know, stay with you? This person's harassing me. I said, or if there's no one around, text your family, text me or whoever it is and say, hey, I'm feeling unsafe. There's a man here. Can you please come and get me? That's my advice for you in that situation. But I said, I'm really sorry that you had this person come and ruin your day and who wouldn't leave you alone no matter how hard you tried. But yes, in the future, find others or call family and friends to come to you. Hello. So I just came back from my appointment with my exercise physio. It was just the initial consultation, but I was actually really impressed with how thorough she was, and she took all of my needs into consideration, and we'll be doing a session next week. So we'll see how we go. Now, originally I did say I was going to talk about my trip in my monthly wrap up, but that would be way too long. So I'm just going to briefly surmise it here. So I used to have severe anxiety, depression, PTSD, suicidal ideation, just very bad mental health. And I tried everything I could to try and sort of break free from it. And nothing had worked in the long term. And then my doctor recommended I maybe try psilocybin, which is found in mushrooms. And it was kind of like a miracle cure for me in that respect. It was like rebooting my entire brain and just restarting it. Without all of those things, I also have OCD and I tend to have intrusive thoughts, and I would obsessively count in my head, just constantly count. And I find that whenever I do a trip, that gets significantly reduced as well. So normally I wait until March to do a trip because it's the season of transition and letting go and going inward. However, I felt called to just do something beforehand. So I actually wasn't planning on having a full trip. I was just planning on having a bit of a light meditation with a smaller dose. Hello, Bluebell. Normally, I need upwards of 5 grams to trip. This time I took 2 grams, but with things you find in nature, you don't know the potency. And these little guys ended up probably being the most potent ones I've ever had. And I very soon realized when I was in my little nest ready to meditate that I would be having trip. And with tripping, it's very important that you let go and don't resist and just go with the flow. Allow things to happen. Buckled myself in and off I went. Every trip is different, so not a single one is the same for me. My first one, I did record it on here very in depth. I haven't had one like that since. So that first one I did have visuals. I did see rainbow colors and universal language and all that sort of thing. Now with them, when my eyes are open, everything's the same. So my environment is the same. And I actually do prefer that, because if the trip is intense when you're closing your eyes and you're learning so many things and it's too much, I can take a break just by opening my eyes and centering myself back in the current present reality. So with this particular one, when you're tripping, everything is happening all at once, everything everywhere all at once. So it's a lot. I just focus on what I feel were the main key points. I feel like each trip has its own sort of like main few subject points. And for this one, there was a lot of releasing. So I did cry a lot. I was crying over my late yaya, who was a very important person to me. And the mushies kind of told me that it's not just that you miss her. You miss being taken care of. Because in my life, the person that nurtured me the most was my yaya. She made me feel safe, she made me feel loved, and had all my needs cared for. And they said to me, you need to stop looking for someone to come along and take care of you and be there for you and do things with you, that you, in this lifetime, your soul really needs to learn to be okay with being just with yourself. So what they had me do is they had me look at my hands, and this is the only visual I had in this trip. And my hands turned into my yaya's hands. My yaya also had arthritis. But those are my yaya's hands. I remember putting them on my face so I could feel her hands on my face again. But they said to me, you're yaya now. You have to be yaya to yourself. So you have to love yourself and take care of yourself and provide for yourself the same way she did. Stop looking for it elsewhere. Like, you had it in that relationship with your yeah, but you need to provide it for yourself now. And then they told me that we're going to take you to the end of your life and live one of your biggest fears, which is dying alone. My yeah died alone. And so they had me live my death. So I was by myself at night in a bedroom and I died. And they said, now that you have experienced your ending, enjoy everything that comes before then. And after I came out of the trip, I remember that my phrase for this year was memento mori. So I basically got to remember that I die and live my death so that I can live my life. So after that happened, I ended up going inside my t-shirt. So I had a very oversized t-shirt on. I managed to get my whole body curled up in my t-shirt. I guess I was trying to create a womb-like space, because I guess the part of your life where you really are taken care of the most to have all your needs fulfilled is while you're in your mother's womb. That is safe, everything's done for you, and you were held by like the universe and your mother. So I re-wombed myself, and during my trip, I had Bluebell with me the whole time. So with our cats too, they told me that each cat has chosen each of us specifically to help each of us differently. And I'm not going to say why. Nova chose V and Sylvie chose Indiana, but they said Bluebell was sent to you. So I don't know if I told anybody the story of Bluebell, but I had a dream one night that a blue cat came to me and said to me, I'm your familiar and it's time for you to find me. And I woke up. And I already had 3 cats at that point. And then I was like, I need to find this cat. So I went to the adoption rescue website and I found a cat on there who was a blue calico named Kitty Blue. And I thought, this can't just be an accident, like literally. So, and I went and adopted her and she's now Bluebell. And they said, yeah, Bluebell was sent to you because, look, I do tend to, even with the help of the mushrooms, I do have a sort of tendency to sort of fall into the darkness a little bit and to struggle with things like sadness and grief and loneliness. And she was sent to me specifically to cheer me up, to make me happy, because she's just so silly and she brings a smile to my face all the time. And I needed someone to take me out of that funk and out of that darkness. And she does that instantly. And she was with me the whole trip, on me, next to me, no matter what iteration my body was in during it. There was another message that came through, which was literally just spoken to me, that I don't need to be a home for lost boys anymore. And that pertains to my relationships. I did though at one point ask sort of the question, like, why do I have all of these health conditions? Why can't I have more energy? I'll be able to do more with my life. And was kind of told in return, you were given these set of circumstances and limitations specifically designed so that your soul can learn the specific lessons it needs to. And they said a big one for you, Chanel, is that you really do need to learn to rest. So before I had all these health conditions, I was a very active, energetic person. I was constantly getting things done. I was not a procrastinator by any means. If I could get it done this moment, I would get it done this moment. And they said to me, like even with the trip itself, normally my trips have always lasted 4 hours. Always. This one went over 6. And they said to me, this is another thing you need to learn. It'll last as long as it needs to last, and you need to rest for as long as you need to rest. You need to stop always feeling guilty for every minute you take for yourself. Like, yes, you have children and other responsibilities, but you also need to prioritize yourself and stop prioritizing the needs of others over your own, like all the time. So like, this is also why this has happened today. Like we've taken out all the other plans you might have had, and this is all that you were doing today, and you will just be resting afterwards too. So the sort of trip hangover lasted longer than they normally last for me. But this whole thing of resting and prioritizing my own needs was very important. They said, you really do need to learn this. And literally during the trip, so my ex-husband was meant to have the kids that day. He called me and said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the kids on time. Can you pick them up? And it was like, I had to put into practice immediately this lesson. And I was like, I literally cannot pick the children up today. You are going to have to make it happen and get them. And that was like very hard for me, because I'm always someone that will pick up other people's slack, so to speak, and to actually literally not be able to, because I'm going to be honest, if I wasn't under the influence of the mushrooms, of course I would have been like, yes, I'm going to pick kids and make sure they're picked up on time. But I literally could not. And I was told, like, no, it's on him to do what he was supposed to do. You're not responsible for him. You need to focus on yourself. This is meant to be your day, time that you were meant to have spent on you, and that is what you're going to do. And those were like the main the main key points. As like I said, so much else happens. It still blows my mind every time I do one of these. The amount that your consciousness just expands, it becomes limitless, and just the way that your brain can process a million things at once. It is so utterly fascinating, and it's always been every single trip, even though this one was a bit more of a sort of tough medicine one compared to the other ones, which were definitely just more loving in general. But all of them have been so wonderful for me and medicinal and cathartic, and the amount of knowledge and wisdom and that I receive in them during them is just unparalleled. It really it allows you to just be out of the 3D and you get to experience like the 5D. It's just amazing. I understand that with everything in this world, some things are medicine to some things are poison to others. So always use your own discernment. This is what I have found in nature that has improved my life, that's literally saved my life, because I no longer have any suicidal ideations. But yes, it does tend to wear off after, I'd say, 9 to 12 months. I do find the mental health patterns start returning, and that's when I do another trip, and then Bob's your uncle. I get, to break free again and continue living my life. The best part of it as well is during the trips, I have zero pain in my body. I remember at one point I was pushing on my inflamed arthritic joints to be like, no pain. I know that's not great now. Obviously, I'm sitting there playing with them, but there is absolutely no dis-ease or discomfort in my body whatsoever. Everything just feels good. I feel good. And more often than not during these trips, I will do some sort of like yoga on the ground. I will like stretch my body and do whatever. It feels amazing. But yeah, so the big lessons for this trip was being comfortable in my aloneness and taking care of myself, prioritizing myself, including rest. But yeah, really being my own yaya now. I've got to be my own yaya, be my own source of like that, sort of, I guess, great mother love. I've got to show that to myself. Hello, beautiful girl. But the thing you always come away with from these, I think, is just a greater appreciation and gratitude for life and the people that you love in general. I just realized I'm wearing a mushroom top today. This was not on purpose. This was randomly done. Sometimes I'm not aware. I can be a bit off with the fairies. But there, after the trip too, I pulled a card, and I'm going to go and get it because I wanted sort of a written down message to wrap everything up as well, and I will read it to you. So this is the card I pulled. So this is from the Soulflower Plant Spirit Oracle. This is rosemary, and the key word there is clarity. And that did kind of make me cry again because the only plant that I have of my yayas is a cutting that I had taken from her rosemary bush. So I have a rosemary bush now that came from hers. So to get the rosemary after that too, when she was obviously a big part of that trip, it was so beautiful to me. But I won't read the whole thing because this book is fantastic. They're wonderful. I'll just read a little bit. Who are you really? Rosemary infuses a body with warmth and vitality, bringing security and clarity to the spirit, especially when it has lost its connection with the physical world. Rosemary helps you to feel fully embodied and grounded, so that you are better able to remember who you truly are. Her energy is warming and grounding and joyfully welcomes us to come home to ourselves. She wants us to feel alive and fully inhabit the bodies that house our infinite souls. She reminds us that home is not where we live or where we come from. Rather, it is being fully embodied, connected, confident, and comfortable in the home that is our physical body. Sometimes it is extremely painful to live in our bodies. We may feel depressed, lost, or wanting to escape, especially as many of us have experienced significant trauma. Trauma that we carry in every cell of our bodies, not only from our own histories, but handed down from ancestors and even from other lifetimes in the past. We can feel broken, disconnected, and searching for something or someone to fix us, to make us feel whole. It is not simple or easy, but in order to find that sense of wholeness, that sense of peace, of belonging and connection that we are longing for, we will have to look inside. Look within for clarity. You are the divine in physical form, and home is where the heart is literally. There is something deeply comforting about that. Where do you feel most at home? And the affirmation is, I am strong and resilient and living the fullest expression of my life. So that was just like the perfect wrap up to my experience. I had some other family members express interest in psilocybin mushrooms. I said right now it's a remarkable time. They are being, I think, allowed. I think they are currently in use in studies with psychiatrists. I think there are trials going on at the moment being used with people who have PTSD, depression, anxiety, trauma, all of those kind of mental health conditions. I don't know if they're currently prescribing them so that I could just go to my psychologist, psychiatrist, I guess it would be, and they could just give me a prescription. I'm actually going to look into it because that would be a lot easier than having to forage. And that means it's readily accessible for a lot of other people, and they could do that in a safe setting. But yes, I don't recommend it lightly. It's all has to come from you. So this is something that I was already getting signs of and having synchronistic moments with, and I was already on that direction. And then my doctor recommending it was just that final bit that I was like, okay, this is what I'm being called to do. And because I was with my partner at the time who was able to guide me through it too, I had someone wonderful and who loved me to guide me through my first time as well. And I always recommend anytime you do anything to have someone with you, always. Yeah, like I said, it completely changed my life and was the only thing that helped me personally with my mental health and my general, I guess, well-being and zest for life. But I thought I would wrap up this vlog here since tomorrow is the 1st of March and I will have to be doing my wrap up anyway. So until next time, stay wild, star child.